Okay. Hi, world, again. Um, I just need to talk about something that has been on my mind for very long time, basically the entire summer. And that is loneliness and social isolation. Uh, and if I'm honest, it's something that has kind of been on my mind my entire adolescence. I have always, even when I did have friends, even when I did have people, like I wasn't actually entirely alone, I always would feel like I was alone. And I wasn't like I was somewhere, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. I was never satisfied with the people that I had, and I just never felt complete. I always felt like there was something missing. And, you know, I know that loneliness is something that so many young people struggle with. And I think particularly young women, because I think that being a girl, it's like, I was actually just talking to my best friend about this a few days ago, but girls make very interesting friendships in that we bond by talking, by sharing our emotions, by being open about our feelings and kind of just like expressing ourselves to other girls and kind of relating emotionally. Whereas I feel like, especially in teenage years, a lot of guys kind of become friends because, oh, I like to do stupid shit with you. Like, I don't know, like, for example, just like playing video games or throwing your friend into a trash can. Like dumb things that a lot of guys do. And, um, and I'm sure that this loneliness is especially amplified for like LGBTQ plus individuals, that kind of a thing. But I here am speaking from my personal perspective, which is that of a straight girl. Uh, and I've just felt my entire life, like I'm just going to say it right now, I've felt lonely. Always. Always. And with a lot of self reflection, hopefully this is helpful for you, I've kind of realized that I used to think of loneliness as this external thing. I'm lonely because no one's hanging out with me. I'm lonely because I don't have that many friends. And no one's texting me, no one's trying to hang out with me. But I think in reality, loneliness is it's almost entirely internal. Um, and I'm not saying you choose to be lonely, but I am saying your thought patterns, which might be negative, might be very pervasive, you don't even notice them, those are making you lonely, not the external things. Yes, I'm not going to deny that kids can be assholes, and you really could have very few friends. I'm going to be real. At this moment in my life, I've got probably two friends that I'm in contact with. Like, obviously, it's summer break from college, so it's kind of like, well, nobody's really in contact, but they are, and I'm not. So, um, what was I saying? Yeah, basically, it's really helped me to uh, to kind of understand that my loneliness, it's not coming from people rejecting me. It's coming from my own feelings of self-doubt and self-hatred. And, you know, this is something that I've been working on for a very long time, is cultivating self-love. But I think the fact of the matter is, if you don't love yourself, you're always going to feel alone, because you're never going to accept the fact that people could want you. If you don't love yourself, you're never going to acknowledge what you bring to the table in any relationship. You know, I'm not just talking about like, oh, boyfriends, girlfriends. I'm talking about just like friendships, family members, those kinds of things. If you don't love yourself, you totally, like, I was definitely in a place, I mean, just a few months ago, my God, where I would see reality in this warped way, in a way that served my negative thought patterns and my negative self image. And that was all I was seeing. It was a total confirmation bias kind of a situation. I saw what I wanted to see. I saw, oh, I'm so ugly. That's why they're not wanting to hang out with me. No one's texting me because I'm a loser and I'm boring. All of these things. And the fact is, none of those things were really true. It was just my mind creating my own loneliness. And it's a cycle. So it's like, you know, you start by thinking, no one would want to be my friend. You know, I'm not interesting enough, not pretty enough, not whatever enough. And then it grows from there. That thought, it makes you scared. It makes you scared to put yourself out there. It gives you less confidence, obviously, if you had any to start with. And so you're not going to put yourself out there. You're not going to reach out to other people. You're not going to stand tall with your shoulders back. You're not going to smile. You're going to naturally kind of shrink, because that's how you feel inside. No matter, and I used to think I could totally fake it. All throughout high school, I was like, oh yeah, I hate myself, but no one else knows I hate myself. Spoiler alert, if you hate yourself, everyone knows. They can smell it on you. Even if you're the best actress in the world, if you hate yourself, people can sense that, because there are these unconscious signals that you're putting out there that you're not going to be able to hide. You're just not, if you're not confident in yourself and you don't love yourself, you know? And so those things, those are going to make it less likely that people are going to like you, you know? People aren't going to notice you if you hate yourself, if you know, take yourself away from situations. And I also think another part of creating loneliness is, well, and okay, to finish that thought, it's just this self-fulfilling cycle, right? So you start by thinking you're not good enough, right? Then you send out these signals, you know, you're hunched, you're scared, you're not going to be as confident, you don't see what the world is giving you. So then those opportunities pass you by because you didn't see them because you were in the wrong state of mind. Um, and then you take that as concrete evidence that people are disgusted by you, that people don't like you, that you aren't worth having friends. And then that just keeps going and keeps going, which is horrible. And then the other way that people create their own loneliness is not appreciating what you have. And I kind of touched on this in the beginning, but for so many years, you know, I've never, you know, I recall always feeling lonely, but I can't really recall a time when I actually was alone. You know, like when I genuinely had not a single person. Um, and I think the real issue in those times when I did have people, but I felt like I didn't, or I felt alone, is that I didn't really accept those relationships because I couldn't acknowledge that people would care about me. I just couldn't. In my heart, it felt unnatural that someone could care about me or want to be my friend. And so those relationships that did come my way, I rejected them subconsciously. I rejected them. And then I behaved in ways that sabotaged those relationships. Like, I'm sure if any of you can relate to this horrible paranoia that strikes you, you know, when you think your friends are too cool for you. It was always, I was in this situation. Either I thought my friends were too cool for me, or I thought they weren't cool enough. And so if they weren't cool enough, I didn't want to hang out with them because, like, I could do better, right? Which is the dumbest thought. I'm not the same person, but I wouldn't want my uncool friends. But then when my friends were cool, I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I would sabotage those relationships by being super paranoid, by acting frantic all the time because, I didn't want to lose these relationships. I wanted to hang out with them all the time. They were cool. And and so I was always grasping and searching, right? And I never was just at peace where I was. I was never satisfied. And so I created my own loneliness. I rejected the relationships I did have. And so with these two things in mind, how do we combat loneliness? Because I'm going to tell you right now, there are going to be times in your life when you're alone. Happens to everyone. And it's actually happening to me right now. The grand majority of my summer I've spent alone. My best friend moved to Florida. I just visited her, which was awesome, but I've been alone. I've been spending a lot of time by myself. And, shit went down with my friends from college, so I don't have those friends anymore. And I'm at a point where I'm really going to have to restart once I get back on campus, alone again. But I would say that even though I am objectively at a lack of friends right now, I don't feel alone. I don't feel like I'm missing something. I feel whole. And I'm going to share with you how you can maybe make strides towards feeling whole eventually. And so I would say the first thing you've got to do is confront your fear. Yeah, be alone. Go eat at the lunch table alone and see that it doesn't really matter. No one's looking at you thinking, wow, she's alone. She has no friends. Everyone hates her. She's a loser. That doesn't happen, right? If you have to eat alone and enjoy it. And that's the next thing, is really savor that alone time. I've gotten really, maybe a little bit too good at this, but when I lost my friends in college, which I'll make a video about, I at first was devastated, right? I had never been alone and I was so uncomfortable being alone. But then I started to try and appreciate my time alone, right? I appreciated eating breakfast alone in the morning. It meant that I could get some work done, have my coffee, I could go whenever I wanted. I didn't have to wait on anyone to walk to the, cafeteria. I started to really savor my alone time. I started to convert that alone time into me time. Who's to say it's not intentional? If you need to use your time intentionally, and if right now there aren't other people in your life to hang out with or to spend your time with, spend time with yourself. Intentionally take that time to reflect on yourself, reflect on your past. Why are you lonely right now? And just, for me, that started with journaling. I started going to the gym more. I started just really working on myself. And working towards loving myself, which is the third thing, which is you really need to start trying to conscientiously cultivate self-love. It's paramount to feeling like you are whole with just yourself. Paramount. And this is something I'm still working on. I have struggled with mood disorders, body dysmorphia, throughout my entire adolescence and honestly since like 4th grade. And I just hated myself. There were times I couldn't look in the mirror. I wouldn't go into stores because I felt like people would see me and think I was too ugly and I didn't deserve the clothing or to even be around such nice clothing. And so self-love is something that I have definitely lived without, and I'm definitely starting to gain. And the ways I've done that, I'm going to make a whole nother video on this, but right now, that's really through journaling, that's through meditation, positive affirmations. Also, Something that people don't really talk about that is critical to self-love is behaving in a way that you respect. If you are behaving within your circle of values, whatever is a person that you would respect, things that you would respect, if you're behaving within that boundary, you're going to love yourself because you'll know that no matter what you're doing, you're a good person. And I think that's where it's the fundamental. I used to lie all the time to try and compensate for what I thought were things that were my shortcomings. I would lie constantly about whatever, stupid shit. Um, and and that's why I hated myself. Well, it's not why I hated myself, but it definitely fed into the self-hate, was I felt like, wow, you're a bad person. You're a liar, right? That was outside of my values. And so I hated myself because I wasn't behaving in a way that I could respect. So yeah, cultivating self-love is paramount to eradicating loneliness. And then I would say last but not least is to get rid of loneliness. This sucks. What I'm about to tell you, it fucking sucks. And I didn't ever want to hear this from other people when they told me. But really, the way to confront loneliness is to put yourself out there. As much as you're going to say, wow, there is no one in my life, I have no one to contact, whatever. I've definitely been there, trust me, girl, or boy, or whoever you are, person. You're going to say, there's no one I can reach out to. But I think there probably is. Even if it's just your mother. And even if you've had a rocky relationship in the past, reach out to her. Hey, I want to get lunch. That's a social interaction. And the more you interact with people, even if it's just family members, the more comfortable you're going to be interacting with people. And so then when you're in those social situations where it's like, oh, you could be meeting friends, right? You're going to be doing things. I'm going back to college in 3 days. Kill me now. But I'm going to be in all these situations where I'm going to be meeting people, right? I have the potential to make new friends. And really practicing with whoever, the guy who's giving you your coffee at Starbucks, grocery checker, people you see at the pool. I don't know what you do with your time, but just the people that you see every day. There are people like that. And just having these minute social interactions with them, or larger social interactions with people that are family members or kind of former friends that you've kind of distanced yourself from, really putting yourself out there and just getting the ball rolling with people, even if it doesn't come back to you the first time. Even if they bail on you, they flake out, and yeah, you're going to want to use that as a rejection. You're going to say, that's an obvious rejection. They weren't just busy. They didn't want to hang out with me. But you know what? Not everyone's going to want to hang out with you. And someone's going to eventually. And once you get that ball rolling, people are going to start coming to you. You just have to show them that you want to hang out with them too. You need to show them that you are confident. You need to show them that you aren't afraid to put yourself out there. You're not afraid to say, hey, want to go to the movies? Because yeah, of course they would want to go to the movies with you. You're awesome. And this is still something I'm working on. I have never been an initiator because I always felt like, well, if other people aren't initiating with me, then obviously it's because it's for a reason. They would be if they were wanting to be my friend. But that's not true. You've got to accept the fact that at least at first you're going to have to initiate with people. And so, yeah, if you're socially isolated right now or you're feeling like you're lonely, I just want to say my heart goes out to you. I'm also lonely, and you're one of probably millions of people on this planet that are lonely. And while that sounds kind of sad, it's actually a pretty happy thing to know, because A, you're not alone, and B, think of all those lonely people out there that are just waiting for you to initiate with them. right? Think about all those lonely people out there that would love to be your friend and that you're going to meet eventually. What you really need to do is start taking those tiny steps towards A, loving yourself, and B, putting yourself out there. All right. Goodbye. Have a great night. Peace out.